Sometime in the last 24 hours, you replayed a conversation in your head, maybe in the shower, maybe driving. You rewrote your line. You imagined their face, and for a moment your jaw tightened. That moment, that tiny automatic clench, is what this video is about. Most advice tells you to just move on. Stop thinking about it. Be present. But nobody explains why your mind keeps dragging you back or what holding on is actually doing to you. So in the next 8 minutes, we're going to look at the real cost of clinging, why your brain refuses to release, and what 3 of the oldest philosophies in the world, alongside modern psychology, say about the quiet, almost effortless skill of letting go. The cost of holding on. Here's the thing nobody tells you about overthinking. It doesn't just make you tired, it rewires you. Every time you replay an argument, a mistake, a missed chance, your brain treats it like it's happening again. Your body responds like it's happening again. And the cost isn't just emotional, it's measurable. In 1991, psychologist Susan Nolen-Hoeksema published a landmark paper on what she called response styles. She found that people who respond to distress by ruminating, by chewing on the same thoughts over and over, had longer and more severe depression episodes than people who didn't. Not slightly longer, significantly. A few years later, with Sonia Lyubomirsky, she went further. They showed that when ruminators were asked to solve real problems in their own lives, they generated fewer effective solutions than non-ruminators. The thing they were doing to feel in control was making them less capable. And here's the part that should stop you. The average person spends roughly 47% of their waking life thinking about something other than what they're actually doing. Half your life replayed inside your own head. That's the real cost of holding on. Not pain, absence. Think about your last week. The argument you replayed in the car, the email you reread for tone, the version of yourself from 3 years ago you still apologize to in your head. None of those moments existed in the room with you, but they took your attention. They took your evening. They took the dinner you didn't really taste. Your mind wasn't there. It was somewhere else, defending itself against something that already happened. So if it costs us this much, why does the brain keep doing it? Why can't we just stop? Why your brain refuses. You're not weak for not letting go. You're built this way. Long before you knew how to think, you knew how to hold on. As an infant, gripping was survival. The thing you clung to fed you, warmed you, kept you alive. That ancient wiring never left. It just got more sophisticated. Now you don't grip with your hands, you grip with your thoughts. Between 1969 and 1978, psychologists John Bowlby and Mary Ainsworth mapped how early attachment patterns shape adult behavior. They found that people with what they called ambivalent attachment, those who grew up uncertain whether love would stay, develop a hypervigilance. They scan for signs of loss. They cling preemptively, not because they're dramatic, because their nervous system learned very early that letting go meant being left. And there's a second force working against you. Behavioral economists found that humans feel the pain of losing something about twice as strongly as the pleasure of gaining the same thing. 2 to 1. So when your brain considers releasing a grudge, an ex, an old version of yourself, it doesn't compute it as freedom. It computes it as a 2x emotional loss. No wonder you keep gripping. Your hardware is voting against you. This is why people stay in relationships they know are over. Why we defend old beliefs that no longer fit. Why we carry resentment for years past the point it's serving us. It's not stupidity. It's a deeply intelligent system trying to protect a younger version of you that needed something to hold on to. The problem is, the system never updated. You did. So if the grip is built in, how have humans ever managed to release? Turns out, 3 ancient traditions cracked this thousands of years ago. The philosophy of release. Three traditions, born thousands of miles apart, arrived at the same idea. The Stoics in Greece and Rome, the Buddhists in India, the Taoists in ancient China. Different gods, different languages, different climates. And yet, when they each looked carefully at human suffering, they all saw the same thing at the bottom of it. Not pain, not loss, the refusal to release. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus, born a slave around the year 50, opened his handbook with a sentence so direct, it still cuts. Some things are in our control and others not. He called this the dichotomy of control. Your actions, your attention, your interpretations, yours. Other people's choices, the past, the outcome of any event, not yours. The Buddhists used a different word, dukkha, often translated as suffering, but more accurately, the friction of clinging. Their first teaching wasn't that life is painful. It was that we make life painful by gripping what was never ours to keep. And the Taoists, simplest of all, gave us wu wei, effortless action. Not passivity, but the strength to stop fighting the current of what's already happening. Imagine you're holding a hot coal. The Stoic says, you didn't choose for it to be hot, but you can choose to set it down. The Buddhist says, your suffering isn't the heat, it's your refusal to open your hand. The Taoist watches you and quietly asks why you picked it up in the first place. They aren't telling you not to feel. They're telling you that feeling and clutching are not the same thing. Beautiful ideas. But how do you actually do this on a Tuesday morning when your chest is tight and your mind won't stop? The practice of diffusion. Modern psychology has a name for the gap between you and your thoughts. It's called diffusion. You fuse with a thought when you believe it is you. I am unlovable. I always mess this up. I'll never get over them. Diffusion is the small, repeatable act of stepping back and noticing. That's a thought. It moved through me. It isn't me. The most studied form of this work comes from a psychologist named Stephen Hayes, who in the 1980s developed something called acceptance and commitment therapy, or ACE. Across hundreds of clinical trials over the next decades, researchers found that people trained in psychological flexibility, the ability to notice difficult thoughts without obeying them, showed measurable improvements in anxiety, depression, and chronic pain. And one tool from another therapist, Marsha Linehan, sits at the center of it. In her 1993 work on radical acceptance, she drew a line that changes everything. Pain is unavoidable. Suffering is what we add to pain when we refuse to accept it. The same loss, thought, becomes a wound that never closes. The same loss, accepted, becomes a scar. And a scar means the wound healed. Try it right now. Take whatever thought has been looping in your head this week, the one you keep returning to. Now, in your mind, just add 4 words in front of it. I am having the thought that. I am having the thought that they don't respect me. I am having the thought that I ruined it. Feel what just happened? You didn't disappear the thought. You stepped 1 inch outside of it. That 1 inch is everything. So if diffusion gives you that inch, what happens to the person who lives every day with their hand open? What you gain? Here's what nobody warns you about letting go. It doesn't feel the way you think it will. You expect lightness. Sometimes it's grief. You expect peace. Sometimes it's an empty room. But underneath the strangeness of it, something quietly changes. You start showing up to your own life again. Research on psychological flexibility gathered across more than 1,000 clinical studies points to a consistent pattern. People who learn to release rumination and accept what they cannot control show stronger relationships, more meaningful work, lower anxiety, and greater life satisfaction. Not because their problems disappeared, because their attention came home. The Stoics promised this, the Buddhists promised this, the Taoists promised this, and modern science, in its slower, more cautious language, keeps quietly confirming it. Letting go isn't loss. It's the return of everything you were too busy gripping to actually live. You won't notice it the day it happens. There's no ceremony. One Tuesday, you'll be making coffee and you'll realize you didn't replay the conversation this morning. The face you couldn't stop thinking about hasn't crossed your mind in 3 days. The old apology you owed your younger self has finally been spoken, and the room around you, the one that was always there, will feel for the first time in a long time like it belongs to you. Because freedom was never out there. It was waiting in the hand you were finally willing to open. So, the next time you catch yourself rewriting a conversation in the shower, replaying a face you can't quite shake, gripping a version of yourself that no longer fits, pause. Notice the grip. And remember that the oldest, wisest voices in human history all whispered the same thing. You don't have to carry it. You can simply, quietly, set it down, release.